My name is Shelby Sparhawk, and I'm sitting down with Scooter Braun, who's on the November 2017 cover of Success. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You have taken a non-traditional path through most of your career.
Such a nice way of saying it.
Right.
I'm a college dropout.
That type of risk of stepping out and doing your own thing, it requires a lot of belief in yourself. Where does that belief come from?
Stupidity.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. It's before I went to sleep every single day as a kid, my dad used to walk into me and my brother Adam's room. He'd say, "All right, good night, boys. Brauns are different." And we'd be like, "Okay, Dad, Brauns are different." I can't tell you when it started because it started so early. I don't remember him not doing it.
Yeah.
And I think you get to a point where you start to believe, where you believe you're really different. And he always said, "You're never better than anyone else, but you're different, you're extraordinary, I hold you to extraordinary standards." And you start to believe that time, I'm going to do it for my boys. Because I feel like it gave me this sense of you can accomplish things. I just saw Sarah Blakely, who's the founder of Spanx, did an interview. And I met Sarah years ago in Atlanta. She's a great person. And she said that every day she used to come home and her dad used to say, "What did you fail at today?" And he would celebrate her failures. And if she didn't fail, he would be like, "I'm kind of disappointed. You didn't try something and fail." Right. And now she's one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world. And I think that it was instilled in me very early. I think that's where it started. I don't think he wanted me to drop out of school, and I don't recommend it.
Right.
I actually had a business so that when I did drop out of school, I had something that was already going. I don't think people just drop out to chase a dream. I think you can start your dream and then kind of segue into that if it calls for it. I wish I graduated college. I think I missed out on a lot of cool moments, but my path was my path.
Tell us about a time that your belief in yourself faltered.
I think it happens all the time. I think that's the misconception when people see, so-called successful people.
Yeah.
They think that they're confident all the time and they can't be stopped and the force of nature. And part of the reason I think successful people keep driving forward is because they're constantly nervous and having moments of doubt. So it makes them not complacent. It makes them drive forward in a different way. I think the only mistake is when you have those moments of doubt and you allow them to control you to a point that you get stuck. Mm-hmm. You have to keep moving. I remember when I played football, Coach used to always say to us, like, you'd find out your most powerful way was to keep your feet moving. Anyone who ever played football, you learned that you have to keep your feet moving. If you try to dig in your feet and push forward, you'll fail and you'll get knocked on your ass. You have to keep grinding and keep pushing forward. And I think it's the same thing in life. I think, like, you get scared, but you got to keep your feet moving.
Right.
And that wasn't the best way to end an answer, but we're just going to end it right there.
All right. So as your business has grown and you've diversified, what process do you have to evaluate what is right for the marketplace?
I look for holes and things that are missing. I look for my gut to go off, and if I have a true vision of what to do. I look for people that I think are passionate, that have the work ethic that I do to kind of push forward with me. And then when I evaluate my own time, if I don't have time to do an idea that I think is great, and I find someone who I realize is willing to what I call burn the ships. Mm-hmm. These soldiers used to go to the shores, pull up in their boats, and the generals would say, "Okay, burn the ships." And these soldiers would have to burn their own ships, knowing that the only way to go home to their wife and children was to win that battle and take the ships of their enemies. There was no turning back.
Yeah.
And I've met people in my life who have that kind of conviction, and I've been very fortunate to make bets on those type of people. I made a bet on Daniel Ek at Spotify years ago because he had that kind of burn the ships mentality. And someone who I feel has taken a lot of flack in the press recently is Travis from Uber. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you Uber would not be where it is today if it wasn't for Travis. Because Travis, the conviction he had when I met him, it was just in San Francisco when I met him. And I remember him coming to my house in LA, and we're coming to LA and giving me the whole thing. I mean, you don't understand the kind of passion and conviction this guy had in his voice and his eyes.
Yeah.
That you understood there was no turning back for him. And when you meet people like that with that kind of passion, you bet on them.
Right.
And Uber's become this worldwide phenomenon, and people can say whatever they want, but I promise you we wouldn't know the word Uber the way we do if it wasn't for Travis.
Right. Right. Is there a moment when you're looking at a new project or a new person or a new talent that you know that this is the moment, this is the right time?
Yeah, it's a gut thing. It's moments kind of happen, and kind of you see them and the gut kind of goes off and it tells you what to do. And I don't know if it's me or somebody upstairs,
Yeah.
honestly. But something kind of takes place, and I think we're in a weird place in society where there are a lot of people who are religious and believe in a lot of things, and then there's people who, the moment you talk about religion, they get nervous. And I have a very strong belief in God, and I think to say it was all me and not ignore the fact that I believe that God plays a role in my life would be ridiculous.
Right.
So I firmly believe that the big man upstairs has some kind of role in what he decides to let me know what to do. And there's sometimes this conviction that doesn't even make sense, and I kind of just know what to do. And I have to believe that part of it is me and part of it is someone telling me upstairs, like, here's a cheat code.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you out. And then because I believe that for me to keep the success to myself, once I receive those blessings, I firmly believe in my mind I'll end up losing them. So I think that because I get those cheat codes, it's because I'm supposed to help other people.
Right. Do you consider yourself a risk taker?
Yes, I am definitely not risk averse because
Yeah.
I'm a risk taker because I just think that the only real failure is death. I think as long as you get to wake up tomorrow, you get another shot at things. The
Right.
average entrepreneur doesn't even hit their stride till 39, 36.
Yeah.
I haven't really even started.
Right.
So to me, so what if you lose? Like, I remember playing basketball as a kid, we played this team from called Harding. It had a really great press. And I got scared. And I remember coach calls timeout, brings me in, and he's like, what are you scared of? And I was like, they're fast. They're everywhere. I've turned over the ball 3 times in a row, and he was like, is anyone trying to kill you? I said, no. He goes, anyone trying to hurt your family? I said, no. He goes, it's a game.
Right.
Don't be scared. And I went out there and I played great the rest of the game because I calmed myself down and realized it's not that serious. And that's what I think business is. People, they act like they should get nervous or scared and they can't take this risk. But, like, yes, you can. Yes, you can, because tomorrow you get to try again.
Right. Something that you look for in people is this burn the ships mentality. But I think most people, or some people, never find their true potential because they give up before they really start.
Correct.
So what do you see, what's the factor there that sets people apart from the ones that burn the ships and keep going and the ones that stop before they start?
Wow. What is the difference between the burn the ships and the stop before they start? Sometimes it's just complacency. Sometimes it's the fact that they get comfortable in their life and there's consistency and they never see their true potential because they're good where they are and they're afraid to move. And the slight amount of success is actually, it's numbing.
Yeah.
Kind of numbs you to all your senses of what you should be doing. And you just kind of get in that rat race on that treadmill and you keep running in place because you think you're supposed to. And then others, I was saying it to you earlier, it just depends on what your definition of success is. There are people that will be janitors their entire life, and some people would never put them on the cover of Success magazine, but if they go home and they're putting food on their table and their kids get a shot, they're successes.
Right.
I think that's a misconception about the American dream. Like, my dad was a refugee in this country, and my grandpa came here. He had no intention of being a success. He had every intention of his children being a success and his grandchildren. So to me, I'm his American dream. So I just think our definitions are really messed up, and I think we yearn for more and we watch tapes and books and videos like trying to figure out what's next, but we don't get up and start somewhere. And you have to kind of decide what's important to you and start somewhere.
What daily practices do you recommend for people who are trying to achieve their goals and really strive for what seems like an impossible dream?
I think it is a good practice to sit down and write down what are your goals and what are your finishes. And then promise yourself that when you get to that goal and you finish, that you take a moment to breathe and accept that win and live in it and enjoy it. Otherwise, you're going to start finding a lot of emptiness as you go on your journey, because you're going to be like, well, what, I did that, but I didn't even enjoy it. What am I doing this for? And it's not that you didn't enjoy it, so you never took the moment to enjoy it.
Is there a difference between a goal and a finish?
Yeah, I think you can write down a goal and say, I want to be this, but then you don't write down how you accept that you made it.
So the measurement of it, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that when you actually, for me, I had a number. I actually wrote a number. I talked to different guys, and I had a number. First, I had a number 19, and then I found out making $5,000 was really, really hard. So I was like, okay, we need to reevaluate this crazy number. And then I met a guy who had an amazing life. You know, the family, the dog, everything I wanted. And I said, how much to have your life? And he told me, and it was a number that I thought I'd work the rest of my life for. And it was a very ambitious number. And I said, okay, that's a number I can work to my 50s, to my 60s, and I can go for this. It's ambitious, but I can go for it. And my career has been very fortunate. So when I was 27 years old, I was riding down the street on Piedmont and Peachtree in Atlanta, Georgia, by Cactus Car Wash. And my accountant called me, we were talking, and he said, hey, this happened, blah, 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 this investment. I said, okay, I hung up the phone. I called him back. I said, I have a question for you. How much money do I have? And he told me a number that was larger than this lifetime goal I had set up, the reasonable goal. And I hung up the phone, thought about it. I called my dad. He said, what's up? I said, I'm very depressed. And he said, why? I said, because I set a goal as a number, and now I hit it, and I'm taking a moment for it, and I don't feel anything. Like, I'm just still driving down Piedmont. And he said, okay, do me a favor. Hang up the phone. Think about when you were actually happy this past year and call me back. So I hung up the phone. I thought about it. I called him back. I said, okay, it's super corny, but I was happy when I was giving out tickets. I was happy when I was playing ball with my friends. I was happy that trip with my buddies. I was happy on this thing. And he goes, okay, here's what you've learned. You can get happy right now, but money's an avenue to that, so you should keep going for your goals, but implement more of the happiness. And it was one of the best pieces of advice I ever got. So I think that's the other part, which I wanted to explain to you, that I suggest people do, is decide what makes them happy right now, and make sure that you're implementing that into your life as you chase these goals, because these goals might not end up like the poem Ithaca. It says, when you find Ithaca, if you find her poor, she did not fool you. It was always about the journey. And so you have to make sure you enjoy the journey along the way to those goals.
So then how do you write those finishes if they need to be some type of measurement? It wouldn't.
You can write them. You can write them. It just, I don't promise you that you're going to be fulfilled when you get there. Try to bask in the moment. Try to learn the lesson. If I didn't take the moment, I would have never learned the lesson.
Yeah.
And you don't know what something is going to feel like until you get there. But what I can tell you is most moments of happiness are at your fingertips already. And if you're willing to implement those along the way, you'll enjoy the way a lot more. Like, if, you know, somebody in the room right now, we found out it's their birthday. And he probably has a lot of dreams and ambitions, but going out with his friends for a couple drinks for his birthday is probably going to be as much fun as anything he ever accomplished in his life, because happiness is actually pretty attainable.
And it's in the relationships.
Yeah.
Right.
You can be really, really rich and really miserable. Most rich people are miserable.
Why do you think that is?
Because a lot of rich people don't know what it is to be happy. They've been chasing something for so long, they never took time to figure that out. Then I know a lot of rich people who are incredibly happy because they're like, I got a lot of free time to do the stuff that I want to do now, because they figured it out along the way.
Right. So it's a matter of them.
Money's an avenue to freedom, or it can lock your ass up.
Right. And it's a matter of deciding which section you're going to be in.
Yeah, write down your goals, but also write down the things that make you happy today and implement them along the way, and you won't be nearly as miserable. You'll be like slightly miserable. No, I'm kidding.
Slightly. What are some of your daily practices? Do you meditate?
Yes, I do. I learned how to do TM, Transcendental Meditation, and I meditate. I think it's a very good thing, because I think what they teach you is the world can be crashing waves, but you lower yourself below the water, and it's a very, very good practice, and I do that. I find certain religious practices to be traditional, but also kind of give structure to your life. And there's certain things that I implement. I spend time with my kids. That's actually one of the best things I can do to calm myself down, because they don't care about all the BS that I'm dealing with at work. And they're there to show love, and I'm there to show them love. I have to get to 0 on my emails and texts every night.
And you accomplished that?
Yeah.
Wow.
I got to a point where there was I was literally way behind on emails, and you'd always save unread. Oh, I read it, okay, but I want to go back to it, save unread.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that. I flag now. It's much smarter. If I want to, and I'd like to get the flags to 0 too, because you're really just not addressing something if you do that. But even if my wife goes to sleep and I'm up for 3 more hours, because there are days I get 2,500 emails, and then hundreds of texts. I have to get to 0 every single night. And my staff will laugh, because suddenly I'll wake up to 40 emails from me.
Right.
But I think it's important, because then I conclude my day and I can move on.
Thanks so much, Scooter, for joining us, and we will see you next time on Success Accelerator.